action in three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance, based on the teachings of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So this is text 23. We'll be covering 5 verses today, 23 to 27. As for actions, that action in accordance with duty, which is performed without attachment, without love or hate, by one who has renounced fruitive results, is called action in the mode of goodness. Before we get into the discussion, what is actions with fruitive results? Fruitive results. Anyone can help me with an answer? Action with fruitive results.
One thing, getting some profit out of it, or getting some benefit out of this action.
Anupji, fruitive results.
That is the self-interest or selfish motive.
Expectation of an outcome, largely positive.
So, what will be the motivation for action if we are not attached to the results?
It's a beautiful stuff.
So here, if we all analyzed, we perform actions with attachment to the results. And if the results are positive, we are happy, we get enthused. If results are negative, or we don't get the results, or it's not as per our expectations, we feel sad. That's why you would see many quotes floating on WhatsApp that the root cause of problems are expectation. Have zero expectation. Even that is not the right understanding. When we perform actions attached to the results of that activity with the intent of enjoying the results, taking the position of bhokta. That's why Krishna in the Gita says, there are 3 things if one follows, 3 important principles if one understands and keeps in his mind, he will become peaceful. The first principle is, Krishna says, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, that I am the enjoyer. I am the bhokta. When we do actions taking the position of a bhokta, I will work hard so that I can enjoy the results of my activities. That action is called fruitive action. Fruits are driving that action. And that mentality is called fruitive mentality. We are driven by the results. And that's why in our life we are always on a roller coaster ride. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad. Seldom we are equipoised. Arjuna asked this question to Krishna, what are the symptoms of a person who is sthita prajna? Sthita prajna means who is self-realized, who is God conscious. Many times when we say in modern day society we have many God men, then people ask, how do we find who is genuine, who is not genuine? If we go by externals, we have people with beard, with saffron robes. Looks like sadhu, but looks can be deceptive. And that's how we see many times people find that so and so godman was involved in so and so scandal, and we have seen many times godmen going behind the bars, involved in some cases. So this is also a science In the sense, Krishna describes what are the symptoms, उसके क्या लक्षण होते हैं for a person who is God realized, who is self realized. One of the symptoms, Krishna says, he is equipoised. And today, as we proceed in this discussion, we'll understand why a truly self realized person or God realized person is equipoised. What makes him equipoised? He is not आलस, he is not lazy, he is not, कई होते हैं बहुत निराश हो जाते हैं जिंदगी से. They're completely depressed, so they are not excited about life. Depressed पड़े हुए हैं घर में, nothing affects them, nothing enthuses them, nothing enlivens them. वो नहीं है. So here it says, without love or hate, by one who has renounced fruitive results, is called action in the mode of goodness. So as I mentioned earlier, our things which drive us, the motive behind our actions is the results. Attachment to the results. Krishna says a person in goodness, that attachment to result is not the motive, should not be the motive. What should be the motive? Should be performed in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Atmendriya, Priti, Vancha. Atmendriya means for our own mind and senses, Priti, satisfaction, Vancha, Tare Naam, Kam. The name of that action is called Kam. It's lust. Krishnendriya Priti, for the satisfaction, for the pleasure of the Lord, Tare Naam, Prem. That is love. Actually, in today's world, the so-called love what we see in the society, we have many movies made, love stories. The movie is based on how a man and woman are so much strongly in love with each other. So Prabhupada explains that so-called love in this material world actually is, anyone can help me with fill in the blank, actually is lust. That's why many times so-called love stories have a tragic ending. So-called love marriages end with divorces. In America, people don't marry the way marriages happen in India. Many times marriages in India, arranged marriage. Somebody gave reference, घर में देखने आए, the boy and girl, the family met for the one time. The girl is quite orthodox, parents agreed. And boy and girl met 1 or 2 times before marriage, and the marriage happened. And after marriage, they might realize that we are not compatible. But in America, it is quite common 5 years, 6 years, 8 years before marriage, there is a relationship. Even they stay together, live in relationship. So in other words, 5 years, 6 years, they know each other quite well. The pluses, the minuses, the strengths, weaknesses, nature, habits, everything they know. Still, 60 to 70% marriages in America end up in divorce. And there's a big problem where they say for a child to grow properly, for a good holistic development of the child, he wants love of father, he also wants love of mother. And many times, or many children in America are single parent, where the father and mother is separate, the child is either with the father or with the mother, and hence father is married to someone else, mother is married to someone else, and that also ends in a divorce in third marriage. It's quite common. So-called love, what we see in this world, is actually lust because it gets passed in the name of love, because it's a wonderful arrangement made to satisfy and gratify each other's senses. It gets passed in the name of love, but actually it is lust. Because whose satisfaction is driving that relationship? My satisfaction. So long as my pleasure is taken care of, I get the desired pleasure, my senses get the desired pleasure from that relationship is pleasing to me. For whatever reason, that pleasure to my senses, to my mind, to myself gets affected, the relationship starts becoming sour. So that's why, and this is not natural for us, mind you. It's not natural for us. That's not our current default way of functioning. For many, many lives, the results of our work and the desire to enjoy the results of that work is driving force behind all our actions. When Bhagavad Gita started, Arjuna was driven by attachment to family, attachment to what will happen, my kingdom, my family members, my dynasty. What is the use of having a kingdom which is tainted by the blood of my own relatives? So who is the center? I and mine. All considerations are driven around I and mine. And after he heard the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was centered around the desires, the likes, the wants of Lord. How many of us have heard about this Varnashrama? What is Varnashrama? Varna Ashrama. How many Varnas are there? 4 Varnas. How many Ashramas are there? 4. What are the 4 Varnas? One by one, raise your hands. 4 Varnas. What are the 4 Varnas? That is Ashram. So Varnas are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. And ashramas, Varna Ashrama. Ashrama is Brahmacharya Ashram, Grahastha Ashram, Vanaprastha Ashram and Sannyasa. So this was a system which Krishna says, Chatur Varna Maya Shrishtam. Krishna says, I have created this Varna and Ashrama system. And this system was very, very scientific in the nature that a person following his duties situated in his Varna and Ashrama will gradually progress from Tamoguna to Rajoguna to Sattvaguna and to Shuddha Sattva. I'll explain how. Now in this Varnashrama, Brahmanas, this Krishna says this 4 Varnas and Ashramas are not based on birth. The caste system what we see in India, which many social reformers came, they criticized and they wanted to get rid of so-called caste system, is not the system which Krishna instituted or which is mentioned in our Vedic literatures. What happened was, the evil of caste system what we hear of is because the son of a Brahmana, having taken birth in a Brahmana family, would claim the rights, the powers, the prestige, the fame of a Brahmana without having the qualification of a Brahmana. In crude sense, just to give you an example, it's like son of a judge or son of a chief minister claiming to be chief minister, son of a judge claiming to be a judge, although he may not have the required qualification. We may have good doctors, heart surgeons, but son of a heart surgeon is not necessarily a heart surgeon. If he also studies like his father, does the required courses, acquires the required qualification, he can be a heart surgeon, but not by birth. So the problem began when people started claiming to be Brahmanas, claiming to be Kshatriyas based on their birth rather than their guna and karma. Now, Brahmanas are situated in Sattva-guna. Guna karma vibhagasha. According to guna, we are reading about gunas, goodness, passion, ignorance. So who are Brahmanas? Not by birth. Who by gunas are situated in Sattva-guna. Who are Kshatriyas? Passion. Predominantly passion. Rajoguna. Who are Vaishyas? Is mixture of passion and ignorance. And Shudras are Tamoguna. So the Vedic system was, whichever varna and ashrama a person is situated in based on his guna and karma, one performs his prescribed duties, and by performing his prescribed duties, by situated in his varna and ashrama, he will gradually progress. I'll tell you how he will progress. The Shudras are expected to obey whom? All the three categories, the Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and the Brahmanas. The Vaishyas were expected to obey the Kshatriyas and the Brahmanas. The Kshatriyas, the kings, were obeying Brahmanas. And Brahmanas were obeying God. See how the society was divided based on guna and karma activities. For the activities, the Shudras, situated in ignorance, they were obeying. The Kshatriyas were enacting laws, they were ruling. That's why you have Chanakya Pandit. Emperors, they had Brahmanas advising them as advisors. And they were quite well versed with the understanding of scriptures. Right and wrong. In last class we discussed what is right and wrong. It is not dependent on what I feel is right or wrong. According to someone, beef eating is right. According to someone, it is very wrong. So the Brahmanas, whose main duty was Pathan, Pathan, Yajan, Yajan, Dana, Pratigraha, the qualities of a Brahmana. So Brahmanas were quite enlightened. They were situated in Sattva-guna. They had knowledge of scriptures. They were self-realized. They had understanding about God. They had understanding of purpose of life. Such Brahmanas who were followers or obedient to God would guide the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas would enact laws and administer the kingdom, based on which the Vaishyas will carry on their activities, trading, occupational duties, and the Shudras who were working were under the direction of Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and Brahmanas. So who obeys whom? Ultimately it's the Brahmanas. Now, just to give you an example, the Brahmanas are compared like, it's not again like caste system. Ye achut hain. Just by their qualification, just like even we don't have a society where everyone is equal. There's somebody who is a minister, somebody who is an administrator. We have IAS officer who are administering. It's not artificial. We cannot say this is caste system. Some people are managers, some people are supervisors, some people are workers. Everyone has to play their respective duties. Even in companies, you have a CEO, you have managers, you have supervisors, you have workers. And the 4 ashramas, Brahmacharya ashram, then Grihastha ashram. What does ashram means? Ashram. Where? What is ashram?
One fine sanctuary. Ashram.
Brahmachari ashram, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha ashram.
Gets living facility at particular.
We use this word Sabarmati ashram, Hare Krishna ashram. A place where spiritual growth is given priority. That's why it was called Grihastha ashram. Brahmachari ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, and Sannyas ashram. So if a person is generally in this Varnashrama system, first 25 years a person invariably would get trained in Brahmacharya principles. And assuming the life is divided into 4 parts, first 25 years Brahmacharya ashram, next 25 years Grihastha ashram. Where having undergone that training, a person will indulge in sense enjoyment under rules and regulations, having got trained in Brahmacharya ashram. And then knowing that attachment to family, living comfortably is not the goal of life. A person voluntarily, the whole fight in Mahabharata, Kurukshetra happened to get the kingdom. And once the Pandavas get the kingdom, they ruled for some time and then they went to the forest. Bharat Maharaj, he got attached to it. He went to the forest. He was a king. It said this country is called Bharatvarsha because of the name of King Bharata. He went to the forest. He was a king. Why did he go? For spiritual advance. Vanaprastha ashram. And then finally it is Sannyas ashram. So when this was a very scientific system with the objective that a person, whichever ashram or varna he is situated, if he follows his prescribed duties, he is in Grihastha and a Kshatriya, if he does his prescribed duties following the Brahmanas, he will advance. Now if this is the case, a question to all of you. When Draupadi, that Swayamvara is happening, when Karna was invited, she says Karna cannot participate. You know that? What was the reason? He was born to a Shudra. He was a maid's servant. So he was a Shudra, therefore he cannot participate in the Swayamvara. Now Karna is very spirited, good warrior, powerful soldier. Why he was called a Shudra? By birth. But we are saying it is not by birth. Character, he was very chivalrous, he was very, they say Karna, Dronacharya, they were all powerful warriors. Why did Draupadi call Karna as a Shudra? And hence he was disqualified from Swayamvara. Why? Huh? Didn't have princely state? No. He was born before the marriage. But he was Kshatriya. Guna, Karma. Guna and Karma were of a Kshatriya. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Did Draupadi didn't know that it was Guna, Karma, and he based on the birth said that Karna is a Shudra? Why did she called Karna Ashudra. So, the answer is, in Vedic times, generally, a son born to a Brahmana would be having the qualities, guna and karma of a, as a rule. Exceptions are there to every rule. In today's world, exceptions have become a rule. Kali Yuga, that's why it's everything is topsy-turvy. So in earlier times, just like normal is what a man getting attracted to a woman and women getting attracted to a man. In today's world, LGBT is very common. Abnormal is normal. And that's why they are fighting for the rights. How can you legislate that this is wrong where I am naturally getting attracted? What's wrong? What is normal is abnormal. I once went to Europe, and then, typically people are they're not shy, unlike India where if somebody has to kiss, you have to 10 times think, log kya sochenge, kya dekhenge and all that. So I went to a place and then I saw two men very shamelessly, I would say shamelessly, we were in a queue, waiting for a turn. We were supposed to buy tickets for a place. And hand in hand, and both hugging each other, kissing each other, right? And they are completely not at all bothered about who is seeing and who is not seeing. So, for me, first time seeing that, it's quite strange. And they say that, I was with someone and then we discussed, they say, if two boys go together, hand in hand, they consider it as abnormal. Kuch to galat hai. Whereas in India, there was a time when man and woman going together, we call it affair. Oh, kuch to gadbad hai, kuch to hai inke beech mein. So, abnormal is normal. So, generally, a son born to a Brahmana family, because that whole family was engaged in Pathan, Patan, Yajan, the whole qualities were automatically passed on to the offsprings. So, son of a Kshatriya naturally will have Kshatriya spirit. Son of a Brahmana will naturally have, that's why Draupadi said, having born to a Dasi Putra, he was a Shudra. Although in qualities, yes, he was very chivalrous. So that is one reason. Text 24. But actions performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires. What is the motive of action? Seeking to satisfy one's own desires. And which is enacted from a sense of false ego. We discussed this earlier. What is ego? We say false. Ego is good or bad? How many say ego is good? Ego is good? Good and bad both. How many of you say ego is bad? You should not be egoistic. Others? Others? 4 लोगों ने ऐसे हाथ खड़ा किया, 2 लोगों ने वैसे हाथ खड़ा किया. Others, nota. What is nota? Huh? What is nota in voting? None of them. Okay. So what is ego? They say इसकी ego बहुत बड़ी है, बहुत egoistic है. What is ego? Ego means identity. What I think I am. What is false ego? False ego. False identity. When I think I am the body, when I think I am a man, And that identity, understanding drives my action, false understanding, false ego drives my action, it leads to problems. What is real ego? False ego is wrong understanding about my identity. I am the enjoyer. I am the proprietor. I am the well-wisher. So when the action stems of false ego, here that's why Krishna says, and which is enacted from a sense of false ego, wrong understanding of the self, such action is called actions in the mode of passion. That's why if we have to enact the right actions, we have to necessarily have understanding of the self. The actions have to be enacted with the background understanding of the self. Who I am. All the mess what we see in the world today, individually, collectively, nationally, internationally, it's because people are acting out of false egos. What we see in Delhi, riots, countries fighting with each other, it's all stemming from false ego. Just a couple of weeks back, there's a person came to me after the class, after this Gita Life class. And in that class, if you remember, we discussed about Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. Okay, this world is a place of misery, it's temporary. So he said, he was very frank, and he said, Swamiji, हमें पता है, बहुत दुख है इस जिंदगी में. दुख है इसलिए तो हम आते हैं यहाँ पे. लेकिन आपकी क्लास सुनने के बाद में हम और दुखी हो जाते हैं. So it was an insult for me. Swamiji coming all the way, taking so much pains, conducting the class, and he said, आपकी क्लास सुनने के बाद और दुख हुआ. क्यों? आप याद दिलाते हो कि दुख है, बहुत मृत्यु है, जन्म है, मृत्यु है, जरा है, व्याधि है. स्वामी जी कुछ अच्छा बोलो. आप बार बार वही चीज बोलते हो. हमें पता है दुख है, इसलिए तो हम आते हैं थोड़ा शांति के लिए, पीस ऑफ माइंड मिलेगा. लेकिन यहाँ पे आपके फिर दोबारा बोलते दुखालयम है, शाश्वतम है. So he was really quite frank, and some of you must have also thought about it. हर क्लास में दुख है, मर जाओगे. Yes, what he told is correct. If we are just harping on the fact कि दुखालयम है, या मृत्यु है, जरा है, old age है, if you're only talking about the miseries. Yes, our scriptures are talking about that. Yes, this world is dukhalayam. Krishna talks about it. This book, Bhagavad Gita, which is revered, which is worshipped, people take in the name of Gita, which is revered, which is the highest truth. People take oath in the name of Gita, which is being worshipped. People, learned scholars, Pandits have been reading that Gita, trying to understand the esoteric knowledge which it contains, the wisdom which it has. Krishna in that Gita says, yes, it is Dukhalaya. But he doesn't end with saying it is Dukhalaya. He gives a positive solution. All the miseries what we see in this world is symptom of a problem. And Krishna is trying to attack the very root. And once that root is taken care of, Just like even in medical science, Ayurveda, you may not get immediate results. It works on the root. There is an institute, if you go with any problem, they ask you to get admitted for 10 days. And 10 days, you'll have to do anima, fasting, all kinds of mud bath, naturopathy institute. It has nothing to add. Most of this treatment are common irrespective of what problem you have gone with. Somebody has back pain. 3 of us went actually. There's an institute called Jindal. Have you heard of that? In Bangalore. So 3 of our colleagues went. So all 3 of us with a different problem. And the treatments were same. All 3 of us. I had a back problem. Somebody had an asthma problem. Another person had completely different problem. 3 of us together went. And the treatments were the same. Now somebody may wonder, what is this? They don't even understand the problem. Because that institute is not attacking the symptoms. They're trying to go to the root. The root is, you have messed up the whole system, your digestive system. And when that root is addressed, the symptoms automatically vanish. So what Gita is trying to do, what this knowledge is definitely saying that this world is, just like today's verse which say, one who has taken birth is sure to die. We are not in illusion. Sometimes out of attachment, we hope against hope. ये नहीं होना चाहिए, नहीं होना चाहिए, नहीं जाना चाहिए. It's hope against hope. कितना भी attachment हो, कितना भी लगाव हो, कितना भी आप try करो, a person has to go. One who has taken birth is sure to die. Is it wrong? They say as sure as death. कुछ चीजें आप predict नहीं कर सकते, but death आप predict कर सकते हैं कि yes, he will die. Relationship will break. And then Krishna says one who has died is sure to take birth again in this world. So yes, then my talk will have a problem if it is limited to problem, and problem. But Krishna offers a positive solution. And if we take that solution which attacks the problem at the root, all the symptoms vanish. Sometimes people also get put off with us. I'm telling you, it's a frank thing. Many times, when we meet people, so invariably they will have some challenges. Everyone goes through challenges in life. Somebody say, मेरी जो सास है ना, some lady may come and she wants to describe her problem. She is like that, she is like that. Somebody say, मेरे बच्चे ऐसे हैं. Somebody says, my husband is like that. And in most of the cases, our solution is more or less same. हम बोलते हैं, please chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So कई लोग तो actually this one person got angry with me. जो भी problem देखेगा, chant Hare Krishna. So in other words, you don't understand what's the problem. But the fact is, that is the solution. Because chanting Hare Krishna mantra will attack the problem. The false ego, which is the root cause of all our wrong actions. But actions performed with great effort, because of false ego, we want to show to the world, दिखाना चाहते हैं हम लोग. I want to prove to the world, I've done it, I've made it in life. By one seeking to gratify his desires, and which is enacted with. That's why when a person is in knowledge, automatically he becomes humble. किसी को कुछ नहीं दिखाना, सिर्फ he only wants to please the Lord. Is called action in the mode of passion. Bombay is a city of Sattva Guna. Yes? Bombay is a city of Rajoguna, passion. performed with great effort and by once seeking to satisfy his desires. जैसे अगर किसी के दिमाग में कोई वो है, डिजायर है, कुछ बनना है जिंदगी में, तो बॉम्बे आओ, because this is a place of opportunities. And then we have example, big so-called celebrities, Shah Rukh Khan and all these things. They came to Mumbai and they are now really big in life. So people are quite inspired by such case studies. That action which is enacted out of false ego, wrong understanding of self. What is real ego? False ego, we understand, I am the body, I am Indian, I am a man. This is false ego, enacted out of false ego. Actions enacted out of false ego. That's how we see people fighting in the name of religion. I am a Hindu, I am a Christian. And Prabhupada says, God is one. These divisions out of false ego, we are claiming, I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim. Krishna in the Gita says, Sarva yonishu kaunteya aham bija prada pita. I am the seed giving father. We don't have, Christian cats, Muslim dogs. We have, out of false ego, divided designation based on our birth, body. So, that's why in Vedic times, knowing people enacting out of real ego, what is real ego? I am servant of the Lord. I am Amsha of the Lord. I am Atma. Mamai Amsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutas. I am eternal. Out of false ego, we think that this life is all in all. Eat, drink, be merry, enjoy life. You forget the consequences of your actions. You don't want to take accountability. Who cares? Who cares? So, naturally, when a person acts out of proper understanding, he will embrace the philosophy of simple living, high thinking. In Bombay it is simple living, simple thinking, 43rd floor, 50th floor of a tower, high living. I was reading an article in Mumbai. 93% of Mumbaikars are exposed to air mainly because of this automobile pollution, all the toxic air. I'll show you the slide. This is Delhi thing which talks about the toxicity in air. We've heard many articles, right, of Delhi air and all that. They say that in Mumbai, 93% of Mumbaikars are breathing air because of this toxicity, this things which is mixed in, mainly because of automobile emissions. It's the damage it creates to our body is equivalent to smoking 10 cigarettes in a day. We all have heard about cigarette smoking is injurious to health. So 93 Mumbaikars are exposed or breathing in air which is tantamount to smoking. The damage what is creating to our mind-body system is equivalent to smoking 10 cigarettes a day. Now, we have created cities, yes, definitely to solve some problems, to give comfort for living, but in the process we have created many problems. So when our actions are driven by false ego, when it's driven by passion, we do solve problems, but such solutions result in more problems. Text 25. And that action performed in ignorance and delusion without consideration of future bondage or consequences. Can anyone give me an example of people acting without consideration of future bondage or consequences? Any action? Any example? Overeating. In context with the present day challenge which we are facing in the world. I've given you a clue. Another clue, China. Another clue, Wuhan. What is that? Every action has a reaction. Without consideration of future bondage or consequences which inflict injury and is impractical is said to be action in the mode of ignorance. Today I have some slides for all of you based on how actions have reactions, more so from the perspective of choice of our food. Now we all know in today's world meat eating is very prevalent and it is on the rise. Although some people are now becoming vegans and all that, but in general, a lot of people are consuming non-veg. So few reasons why, and sometimes somebody who takes to non-veg is considered quite open-minded, broad-minded. He's not narrow-minded कि ये नहीं खाऊंगा, वो नहीं खाऊंगा, ये नहीं पीऊंगा. He is bindas. He is considered, quite mature. Unlike somebody who is very narrow-minded, मैं ये नहीं खाता, मैं वो नहीं खाता. Now and we are living in that society. There is a pressure on all of us. If you go to a party, come on, yaar, take it. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? I told you, की फर्क पैंदा है? There's one person who met me, he said, की फर्क पैंदा है, Swami ji, की फर्क पैंदा है? So human anatomy is our body designed to consume flesh. Let's very objectively understand. And then you will understand what reaction we are getting in the society. People are now scared. I see recently, just 2 days back, I was coming back from Jaipur. Many people are having masks on their face. People are scared. And in times to come, I think it's going to be a very common sight where most of us will be moving around with a mask. I don't think today I am saying like that. Quite possible we'll be taking Gita class and all of us will be sitting with a mask because they say many countries now it's spreading. South Korea, and India is densely populated. If it comes, all of us will have to practically, all what steps have been taken in China may be implemented here. Online? Online classes. While here in the class also, I'll see you online with a mask on your face. So why all this? People are dying. In China, about 2,800 people have died. And one person who actually got this virus coronary attack and he recovered after 25 days. So he said that he almost like he was describing his journey, what he went through. He said it's almost he touched the gates of hell. It was hell what he went through last 20 days. Whole body is paining and went to the hospital and they are clueless as to how to treat him and they were not admitting him. He was now kept in a room in isolation. The whole thing he describes. Now think about it. On one side, we all are believers in God. We say that God is all kind, God is all loving. He is a loving Father. And see the present state. People are dying. And what is that virus which we can't even see with our eyes? So every action has a reaction. Just like here in the Gita says, we discuss about without consideration of consequences. Let's compare. How many of us have seen these slides? Anyone remembers? This was long time back. Let's compare our body to a carnivore and a herbivore. Herbivores, you all understand, are animals which survive on grass, and carnivores, flesh-eating animals. I'll give you 10 to 12 similarities or areas where if you compare our body in terms of teeth, in terms of our canine, the teeth in the front, and various other aspects in our body, you will see without getting into details, we have written if this is the area, what is there in a carnivore, what is there in a herbivore, and what is there in a human being. And you will find that there's a lot of similarity to a herbivore than a carnivore. Now, before we get into that, some other areas. We talked about canines and teeth. I want all of you to recognize the skeletons. The skeleton of a, sure, human being, cow. Anyone with an answer, raise your hands if you're sure of the answer. Yes, it is cat, dog. We can only guess. It is horse. Now, all of us, let's spend some time and focus on the teeth. You see the teeth of a cat, you see the teeth of a dog, you see the teeth of a horse, you see the teeth of a cow and a human being. Can we derive some understanding from this? And what is that understanding? Can anyone raise hand and tell what are we understanding from the way the teeth are structured? What is it conveying? What message are we getting? What understanding can we derive? Anyone?
What it is designed to eat.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Carnivore animals have similar type of design. Arrangement.
Who are the carnivore animals in this? We have a cat. Who said human being? They say human being is an omnivore. Okay. Dog. So if you see, there is something common in the structure of the teeth. What is common? They have a sharp canine. Sharp canine. The front is sharp. That's why if you see a dog and a cat, sharp canines. Whereas if you see human beings, cow and a horse, instead of sharp canines, they have well developed molars. To chew, to masticate. Unlike carnivores, they have canines to tear the flesh. So this is one thing. And then molars, it is very sharp in case of carnivore, and herbivores, it's flattened. Chewing. Practically there is no chewing in case of carnivores. They just tear the flesh, ingest it. And I'll come to the next comparison. Whereas in case of herbivores, if you've seen a cow, how many of us have seen some goshala and actually seen how the cow munches food? How does it munch food? And that is what we are also supposed to do. Supposed to do. And extensive chewing in case of human being and this. Saliva. It is highly acidic. Carbohydrates are not there. It's flesh predominantly in this. So the carbohydratic design that is not there, as enzymes are not present in the saliva. Whereas in case of herbivores and it's alkaline. Stomach acidity, pH value is less than 1, highly acidic, because the flesh has to be digested in the stomach. High acidic is 4, whereas here in case of herbivores and human beings it's 4 to 5. Length of small intestine, they call colon cancers, is very common in countries where people are predominantly non-vegetarians. Colon cancer. You know why? I'll give you the technical reason. The length of intestines of a carnivore is 3 to 6 times the body length. Whereas in case of herbivore and human being, it's 10 to 11 times. So what happens is, flesh decomposes, putrefies very, very fast. Take a scenario, you keep a dead animal even for that matter, dead body, you have to preserve. You put some ice and you have to put some salt and all that. Otherwise, it putrefies. You keep some cabbage, cauliflower, brinjal for 10 days. It doesn't decompose and start smelling bad, unlike flesh. That's why all this flesh, this chicken, all refrigerated vans, cold storage. You can't keep it otherwise. And definitely a lot of preservatives are there to store it. So, generally in case of carnivore, it's highly acidic. They ingest the food, the length of intestine is very less, the digestion happens and it's thrown out of the system fast. 3 to 6 times the body length. Whereas in case of herbivore, because it is plant-based food, basically the body is designed for that, it can stay in the system for longer duration. And because our body is not designed by nature's arrangement to consume flesh, if we consume flesh and it remains in the system and putrefies and decomposes, it can create cancer. That's why I say in case of non-vegetarian, colon cancer is much higher, the probability of having cancer. Simple, short and smooth, it's long and complex. Perspiration, how does a dog perspire? To the mouth, saliva drooling out. And perspires to millions of skin pores. Nails, sharp claws, whereas we have flattened nails. Health reasons, as early as 1961, it said 90 to 97% of heart diseases can be prevented by vegetarian diet. Cancer, which is very common, we may say, yes, pesticides, food, these are the cause of this thing. In animal products, it says meat consists 14 times more pesticides and chemicals than plant foods. Although, in present times, even plant foods also have a lot of pesticides and chemicals. Vegetarians overall these all have from scientific journals, 20% less likely to die from heart attacks than meat eaters. Cruelty to animals, many of us are aware. Now we are talking about this virus pandemic, people are world over scared, 2,800 people have died. In the US alone, every hour, 660,000 animals are killed. And we don't hear about it. It's okay. The modern slaughterhouses are actually worse than hell. How many of us have seen a video recently go circulate, I think you forwarded, where all the pigs were put in a pit? How many have seen that? And the fire was, and all of them screaming, and the fire is catching on them. And after that, the mud was poured on that. If the windows of slaughterhouses are made of glasses, no one in the world would be a non-vegetarian. In fact, if some mothers are sitting, these days mothers also, with the misunderstanding, उसको protein कैसा मिलेगा? वो तो sports में आगे बढ़ना चाहता है. He wants to run. And sometimes, these days people start running. So they invariably hear, you should have good protein diet. So you should non-veg, you should take eggs and all that. And because of this so-called misunderstanding being this thing, people, yes, I want to run, I want to build my body, I'm going to gym, so I should have, all these protein things. And we go to supermarket, we go to Heiko, we go to D-Mart or whatever, and then we see this nicely packed, tinned, canned. We don't see what's gone behind the scene. It's not quite common. While our bodies are the living graves of murdered animals, how can we expect ideal conditions on earth? Actually, the mess what we see in the world is created by coronavirus. Created by us. Aggravating world hunger problem. 20 million people die annually as a result of malnutrition. They don't have enough food to eat, and because of malnutrition, they die. Now, there's a connection between meat consumption and the world hunger problem. Can anyone tell me what's the connection? What's the connection? Okay, here is the connection. 16 kgs grain, if it is, which can feed 20 people, if it is directly consumed by human beings, 16 kg of grains, again, don't ask me in how many days, how many chapatis, just for the sake of comparison, for understanding. If 16 kg grains can directly, if consumed by human beings, can sustain or feed 20 people, that grain, if it is used to produce beef or meat products, in other words, it's consumed by livestock or for the piggeries and all the beef meat industry, if they consumed by animals and then they are slaughtered to produce meat, it can feed only 2 people. And most of the grains, 80%, 90% of the grains which are grown in the US is used to feed the livestock. Because people are eating a lot of non-veg, beef. The cows, they have to be given something to eat. We have a Goshala in Hingonia in Jaipur. An average cow, if you have to give that chara, that feed, it costs 70 rupees per day. Average cow. If you have to give the chara, dry fodder and all that thing, and they have some average. There is a human being, we have done pan-India, average cost per meal, per child in India, Akshay Patra, is 14 rupees. Because of bulk production, 14 rupees. In other words, a grown-up adult can sustain 50 rupees in a day, but not a cow. The consumption is more. So now, most of the grain is going in, feeding the cows, the cattle, and the meat is then produced and is consumed by human beings. So UN Secretary General recently admitted meat consumption in rich countries is the key cause for hunger around the world. They say that in the US, if the meat consumption is reduced by merely 10%, mind you, 10% of the consumption of meat is reduced in the US alone, not all over the world. In the US, if the consumption of meat is reduced by merely 10%, the current food production in the world can sustain the world's projected population for 2050. If 10% of meat consumption is reduced, the current food production in the world can sustain the world's projected population for 2050. So in other words, population explosion, scarcity of food is created by man. So it has karmic consequences. All our actions, including choice of food, have karmic consequences. By inflicting injury, pain, death, one must in future experience the suffering caused. Now, simple logic, if you sow a neem seed, what you will get? Mango plant. You will get a neem tree. If you sow a mango seed, you will get a mango plant. So if we inflict pain in someone's life, and that food is taken in by us, pain in, pain out. And the pain out comes in the form of natural disasters, diseases, stress, anxiety, depression. Now, stress maybe for some other reason, could be some relationship issues or something, but the root cause is karmic consequences. The law of karma is in play. As you sow, so shall you. If we don't want pain in others' life, in our lives, we don't want pain, we want to be happy, let's not unnecessarily give pain to others. Jesus also said, treat others as you would like them to treat you. We want to be strong and healthy, we want to be happy, but how can we build a life of happiness, the foundation of which is based on pain to innocent animals? But somebody may say, I do not kill. This mind is a great cheater. One friend of mine, he used to say, हमारे घर में नहीं बनता, हम नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं, हम तो मांस लाते ही नहीं घर में, बनाते भी नहीं, सिर्फ खाते हैं बाहर. And his logic was, if I go to a party and veg is there, non-veg is there, anyway it is killed and kept there, मेरे लिए थोड़ा उन्होंने मारा है वो, तो मेरे खाने में क्या प्रॉब्लम है? I have not killed it, मेरे कारण तो नहीं वो मरा. So Mahabharata says, the purchaser of flesh performs violence by his wealth. He has purchased it. The person who eats flesh does so by enjoying the taste. The killer who does himsa by actually tying and killing the animals. They say the transporter, the one who serves, the one who actually kills, one who eats, one who cooks, all of them are flesh eaters. Just like Sanjay Dutt. You know, Sanjay Dutt went behind prison. Why did he go behind prison? He was part of that conspiracy. He stole those guns. He didn't go and shoot. He didn't kill anybody. He was part of that conspiracy. So they say all of them are considered to be meat eaters. So वही हुआ ना, पहले हम लोग एटलीस्ट अब तो और स्ट्रेस डाल दिया अपने दिमाग में, अब जाएंगे तो और स्वामी जी क्या, we come here to relax, to understand, और आप हमारी लाइफ को मिजरेबल कर देते.
What should be done under situations like this?
हाँ.
Don't associate with such.
So when we tread this path, they say birds of same feather flock together. And you will find hardly any time crows and swans together. When you see some garbage, some filth, some dead body, caw, 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 caw. You put some dead carcass sometime in a highway when the dog gets smashed by a moving vehicle. All those scavengers, this caw, 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 all that they gather, the dead carcass. It's a feast for them. Whereas swans, hamsas, they stay in clear water with a lot of lotuses. You will hardly find crows and swans together. That's why the saying is, birds of same feathers flock together. So, like last time I told you, acid and acid, no reaction. Acid and alkali, reaction. Alkali and alkali, no reaction. If you are progressive in Krishna consciousness, you will definitely find very uncomfortable in association of some people whose tastes are different. It's like crows and swans coming together. So, having said that, it is very important for us, we will lose some friends in this path. But this path is not, you just keep losing friends. You make another set of friends. You will lose some friends. You develop friendship with another set of people. Because tastes will vary. They are completely in ignorance, completely driven out of false ego. Now, a person who is completely awakened, he cannot move around with his eyes closed. To some extent, he is able to see the reality. There are people who are completely acting unconcerned whatsoever of the consequences. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? कौन देखने को है? मस्ती करो, enjoy करो. That is their philosophy. But person whose eyes is opened by Lord's arrangement, he cannot